This is Adam Watson.
And Robert Diaz.
You're listening to the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. So we promised a convention announcement, and I have one. Not as many as I was hoping to make this week, but hey, one's better than none, right?
Drum roll.
Go ahead, do a drum roll. That's a good drum roll.
Yeah, thanks.
So on April 21st, we will be in Wenatchee, Washington for WinCon, which is Wenatchee's premier, I think, comics and pop culture convention.
Was this the one that you did really well at?
This is the town I did really well at, but not this specific convention. So when I was at the Wenatchee Toy Show last year, they had given me a postcard for this show, WinCon. So it had been on my radar the whole time because we did so well in that little tiny toy show. They had told me that if I like the toy show, I should definitely come back for this show because there's 4 times the amount of people that come through for this one. And I've been keeping an eye on it ever since. They have celebrities, things like that at this show. But it's the same weekend as Cherry City, so I for sure will not be at the Cherry City show. It's kind of funny. There's a show that's 40 minutes away from me
and you're
happening the same weekend. I'm choosing the one like 7 hours away. But I've never been one for thinking that a closer show is a safer bet. So Cherry City is closer, but the cost to do it is 3.5 times the expense. And even though it's a whole lot more travel, I go where I think I can build up the best fan base. And when it comes down to it, I've done a lot of shows in Salem. And I've made some money, but, I have a pretty good fan base there. But in Wenatchee, it seemed like they wanted to see my stuff a whole lot more. And they got the opportunity to see this kind of stuff a whole lot less. So,
are you doing it exclusively Darkslinger?
I'm doing this one exclusively Darkslinger, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. By that point, I'm really hoping that I will have Ghost Assassin #1 in print. I will for sure have reprints of Chronicles #2 and 3. And I am going to be releasing a print edition of El Bovine Muerte #1.5.
Well, it's still good to have those things on the table.
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
Are winners.
Yeah, and
that's still 4 weeks away.
Yeah, so my printers may hate me for making them rush on this, but
you can get it, all the better.
Yeah. So
is it a big show? Do you know? How long has the show been running?
I think this is the second year. But as I've said many times before on past episodes, do you know? I'm not sure if you know, because you haven't gone to many of the shows with me that I travel for. But
we've never traveled that far.
Okay, yeah, you've only gone to Seattle.
Yeah, it's the furthest we've traveled together.
But the whole thing is some of the shows that I've done the absolute best are the shows that have the least amount of competition in the area. Like I did super well in Pullman, did super well last year in Wenatchee, and when you're in Portland or even Salem for that matter, there's a ton of competition from other comic creators. There's also a ton of competition just in terms of, do they go to this con this weekend, or do they wait 2 months and go to the next con that's going to be in the same area? Or in some cases, 2 weeks from now for the next con that's going to be in this area. There's tons of micro shows at this point.
Yeah.
So sometimes it really helps just going to an area that they normally aren't.
Uncharted territory for you.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. So, it's a really nice area. I enjoyed the hell out of it the first time we went. And I'm sure we'll be stopping by the what is it called? The German village style town again. Starts with an R.
I did not go with you. I don't know.
Okay. The same sort of town that Mount Angel is.
Yeah, that's the only one that I know.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy. It looks like you'd film a horror.
Bavarian. It doesn't start with an R. It starts with a B. So the Bavarian style town. We'll be going to that. Again, just, checking it out again. Why not?
You might get kidnapped. Might end up in a horror movie.
It's not creepy at all there. There are several towns along the way that I'm sure are creepy, but that's not one of them.
I don't know. Are you sure? Is it a big town?
Yeah, oh yeah. It's a massive town. The Bavarian style town was probably the same size as, wasn't quite as big as Salem, I would say maybe like as big as Eugene. It was actually a rather large area.
I was just thinking Mount Angel, and that place can be creepy.
No, this was a lot bigger than Mount Angel, and I don't know what was up with the amount of money in the economy there, but the most common car we saw driving past us seemed to be Ferraris.
Damn.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's the people who live there had money or if people were just vacationing there that had money, but it was definitely not the most common type of car. But we were probably passed by 5 or 6 Ferraris and 1 Lamborghini when we were there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot for one.
Right?
One town.
Yeah. It was an awesome little town, though. And it's just kind of surrounded by deserts and, a few rivers and all that. But they basically built the town right off the river. So it was kind of like a little oasis. It wasn't that hot there because they had a proper amount of shade and, cooling air coming from the river. So it was nice just walking around there. So I'm planning on walking around there again after the show's over.
So it's going to be one of those kinds of things where they're sacrificing these people to keep the town the way that it is.
Seems like there's some sort of Wicker Man thing going on there.
Wicker Man, Neil Gaiman thing, who knows?
You think Neil Gaiman sacrifices people? Is that what you're saying?
Could be. No, that was in reference to that. What the hell is that book? He has all the gods in it.
American Gods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing going on.
Yeah, I don't think Neil Gaiman sacrifices people. He seems like a nice guy, so.
No, but he could have based it off that.
He could have. No. He could have. You never know, but I highly doubt it. I think that we're going to be pretty safe.
No. He tells you what it's.
I think you're just afraid of anything that's 4 hours away from where you live.
Just the driving part of it. That's a lot of driving.
Fun fact: if you're ever going with Alan on these long trips, and like the farmhouses that you've seen nothing else for like 2 miles, and if you grew up in the area that we've grown up in, that just means that all the miles that you've seen between this house and the last one are farmland owned by one of these 2 farms, right?
Yeah.
But if you see one of them and they're the old style farmhouse that's kind of set off the road, Alan gets freaked out by those places. So I like to pretend that there's a problem with the car as we're passing by one of them.
Seen too many horror movies.
Right. If you grab your phone like, I have no bars, you can really get him. Tell him that he's going to be walking up to the...
Go ask these people.
Go up to the house on the hill there, Alan.
They look like they're probably kind folk.
Which in reality, they probably are.
Probably.
You and I are not the least bit afraid of, farmhouses, but...
You only have a chance of getting shot.
Right? But, just
don't approach it.
If you don't approach it like you're trespassing, that's not very likely to happen.
Yeah, just don't look sneaky.
Right? Just walk up and, wave when you're at the gate,
Yeah. You're good. Probably.
Yeah, probably. Well, the thing is most of these places that we saw that he'd get so freaked out about are in the midst of these huge, like, onion fields in Idaho, right? And if you just look around the house, you will see far more equipment than can be manned by one person. So the likelihood that there's just like one family there is not very high. Chances are they have helpers' quarters somewhere on the property, so there's probably like lots of people that live there, but he thinks it's just like 2 people living in an isolated region completely by themselves.
And you're like, we're only 2 hours from the city, man.
Right? We're not that far away. But we have seen some incredibly strange towns going over to cons in that area.
I know nothing about the area. Never been over there, but I imagine it's sparse.
There are areas that are. But yeah, there's a really weird little town that I don't know if you said you've never read any Stephen King books, right?
No.
Okay. Well, there's this Stephen King book that's called Rock and Roll Oregon, I think is what it's called. Something like that. And the people take a wrong turn and go into this little town, and they're stuck there. And the mayor there is like Elvis Presley, and Jimi Hendrix works at this town. It's all these famous musicians and actors who died early on, right? And the whole thing is these people are trapped there in kind of this permanent state that's an in-between hell because they lost their way.
Like
and these people...
Purgatory?
Yeah, purgatory. And these other people who aren't celebrities have ended up just being the townies because they've also lost their way and ended up in this town, right? So we drove through this town on our way to Idaho once that I swore was like that because we pull up and Emily's going to the bathroom or something. It's like this little gas pump that's like one gas pump, right? And we pull up and I'm getting gas and I'm stretching and Alan's out of the car and he's looking around and he's like, hey, we gotta go. What? Get in the car. Get Emily. We gotta go. I turn around and like the whole friggin' town is standing outside on the sidewalk just staring at us.
That sounds terrifying.
Right?
I'm with him.
So we get in the car and we start driving through and they're like watching us drive through and drive off. Fucking weirdest thing.
Terrifying.
Yeah, but in any case, we had no such experiences on our way to Wenatchee. It was all, completely smooth going over there. So we probably have scarier things in Malala than what they have on the way over there.
Maybe to some people, I guess.
I don't know. I find some of the meth heads walking around at night terrifying.
Yeah, they're annoying.
Walking down the road the other night, and this guy, I can't really even describe what he looked like, but it was in the middle of the night, He's wearing a couple layers of clothes and had this really disheveled hair despite the fact that he didn't have much hair, And he kept going at me. So I had my headphones in at first, but I took them out and was trying to make it to where he didn't know that I'd taken them out, And not that he could see I was wearing headphones because I had my hood up. But after a few seconds of him standing there going, he said, hey, do you have any shit? Like, no, fuck off. So he walked on, but I had no idea what the hell that meant. And I asked a friend later on. They told me that apparently he was trying to buy Beth from me. I did not know the street name for that was shit.
Well, I guess it's a good way to find out if someone has anything at all.
I guess if he's not being picky and maybe he's asking for crack or whatever too. But
yeah.
But I have no compunction about telling somebody like that to fuck off. But if somebody wasn't from our town and they start walking around at night and somebody like that comes up with them.
I don't talk to those people like that, I just want them to move on. So I'm like, no, man, sorry.
Right.
I've had a couple people like that, and they weird me out.
Yeah, well, we've had a couple people like that when you and I have been walking around at night.
Yeah, but you're bigger than me, so I don't care.
Right.
When it's just me, it's weird.
That's fair. That is completely fair.
Yeah. If you're not currently carrying at the moment, then it's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And by that you mean carrying
a gun.
Yeah, you don't mean
drugs.
Let's just put that out there.
Yeah, I guess it could be misconstrued.
Right. But in any case, no, we will be perfectly safe going to Wenatchee. It's a very safe drive, safe area. I'm not worried about anything.
Probably taking main roads, so nothing to worry about.
I don't know that you can really reach it from here by staying strictly to main roads.
I don't even know where the hell it's at.
Although, to be fair, I'm not sure what constitute main roads when you're going, up there. But it's the northern part of Washington.
No idea. You got, major roads, big roads, that sort of thing.
It was an area I had never been to in Washington, I'll tell you that.
Kind of sounds like maybe 84 sort of style. It's just a really long two-lane road.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It was very much like traveling down I-84 without the creepy restrooms.
There's creepy restrooms along there?
Oh, there's so many along I-84.
I was just on there the other day. I didn't notice any.
Okay, how far down 84 have you gone?
All the way to Clatskanie.
Okay. So, you know where the observatory is on 84?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
I only traveled the road.
So, what is it? Is it a town named Dallas?
There's a town named Dallas.
Is it on 84 though? Am I thinking of the right town?
I thought it was the other way.
Okay.
The other direction.
Well, it's one of the D towns anyway. I'm not that great on my geography out of my own area, but in any case, there's a rest stop that's, I'm going to say 4 or 5 miles before you hit that town, right? Years ago, we were coming back from visiting Ty in Idaho, and my friend Shannon was with me. So she has a grandma who lives about 2 hours from where Ty did, right? So I dropped her off on the way to Ty's, and then I spent a couple nights at Ty's, went by, picked her up, and came back, right? We're traveling along. We stopped at that rest stop, and she gets out, goes to the bathroom, comes back, tells me to go look at the wall at the rest stop, right? So I do, and written in legal pad is this super long handwritten message that's supposedly from this guy who's trying to get into a fraternity. In order to pass initiation, he needs to collect women's panties. And so there's this plastic bag, like duct tape to this note, this duct tape to the wall. And it's asking to please deposit your panties into this bag, right?
That's pretty creepy.
Right? So I'm standing there reading this and, getting a pretty uneasy feeling. And the first thing that I'm thinking as I'm reading this is...
someone's in the bushes.
There's that, but it's also like, where the fuck is this fraternity at? What college are we near? I mean, there's college in Walla Walla, but I don't think it has a fraternity, and that still would be a couple hours away. And we're a good hour and a half away from Portland still. So what fraternity are they trying to pledge for?
Fraternity of creepy fucks.
Right? So she asks if I'll stand out there for her to get a picture of it, right? Just watch her back. So I'm standing there, she's snapping a photo, and I see out of the corner of my eye somebody did move in the bushes. I can't say with absolute certainty that it was anybody related to that sign. There were a number of semi-trucks parked at the rest stop. There weren't a lot of regular cars, but there were quite a few of like semi-long haulers, For all I know, it was some truck driver taking a piss, but I wasn't going to take a risk. So we're walking back to the car, and as we get into the car, a white panel van shows up that had no windows. I had this guy with these super thick glasses sitting in it that had his hands on the steering wheel just staring straight ahead, right? Didn't seem to be staring at anything in particular, just staring straight ahead. So I'm watching him super closely, backed out as close to his doors as possible because I didn't want anybody like jumping out of the back of the van, and I knew if I had pulled the car close to it, that couldn't happen. They'd hit my car, yeah, but, I'd rather them hit the car than jump out and, like, attach themselves to my car.
Give me your panties.
So we pull off and we get a couple miles down the road. And she had asked me, if she should call the cops. I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely, because, who knows what these people are trying to do. It could be that they're just trying to distract a woman long enough to grab her. It could be that they're planning on raping somebody, and, if you're not wearing your underwear, then it's less likely that you're going to be leaving forensics evidence behind, right? After a few miles, she calls him and tells the dispatcher what's happened. And, we get miles down the road and somebody pulls up behind us with headlights. They're pretty close. I'm like, great. I couldn't really tell from the angle and position what type of car it was, but it didn't look like a van, But they were really close. But then they go to pass us, and I see it's a cop. I'm like, shit, are they involved in this weird thing? But nah, the guy just waves and drives on, right? So we go up a bit more, and she gets a call back from the dispatcher. Apparently, the sign and bag had both been removed. They weren't there by the time the officer showed up, and he couldn't have been there very long after, because I'm going to make the assumption that the guy who passed by us was the cop who had stopped by there, although that might be a poor assumption. But in any case, creepy shit at that restroom, apparently. So
that is pretty fucking creepy.
Miles down the road, she was trying to name the tune, like figure out what song it was that was stuck in her head, right? I'm like, where'd you hear that? Because, we'd been listening to a steady dose of metal all day. Apparently, she was trying to remember what song was playing when she was in the restroom. Well, why didn't you say anything about music playing in the restroom before? Why would I? Well, because we're in Oregon. Music doesn't play in restrooms in Oregon.
Depends on where you're at.
Not on 84.
Not on 84. Let's just say that. Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'd been to that rest area several times before.
Was it a really creepy song?
No, it was like some top 40 type stuff. It was like they turned it on to Z100 and just kind of blasted it in the restroom.
Oh, I was thinking it'd be more like some old 40s or 50s tune.
That
creeping at
would have been arguably cooler and creepier.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, because I like in horror movies when they use like Victrola recordings, you know.
Yeah, or you just all of a sudden like Jeepers Creepers comes on.
Yeah, well that'd be really creepy because didn't the guy who directed that get in trouble for like child molestation or something?
Did he?
I think so.
Oh, I have no idea.
I think so.
That's terrible.
Did you ever see the movie Skeleton Key that had Kate?
I just Googled that like 5 minutes before we started this.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I was looking at that guy that I got mixed up with the other ones because he's in that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well that movie,
I like that.
Whenever they're doing the magic stuff, they do the Victrola spinning of that, right? And that is one of the best uses of music I've ever seen in a horror movie.
That movie was great.
It was very, very great for no more people than who would have seen it. I highly recommend that movie.
Yeah, I know.
But hardly anybody I ever talked to has seen it.
I hadn't seen it until like 3 or 4 years ago, and I caught it on TV, and I was like, holy crap, I thought this movie would be junk.
Right? But it was actually really good. And didn't they use the Victrola just like perfectly in that?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved that. So anyway, yeah, that's our con announcement. Coming back to that finally. I should have even more con announcements next week, which we better because it's our big 25th episode. So.
Word of warning, watch out for creepy restrooms.
Yeah, definitely watch out for creepy restrooms. Or any restrooms that have Elias in them. We'll just go ahead and say that since he's not on the podcast today.
Yeah. 25 already?
Yeah, next week is our 25th.
Oh man, but that's Easter.
It is Easter, yeah. I would do a list of the best Easter comics, but quite frankly, I don't know if any exist. So, I will have a Easter-themed El Bovine Muerte pinup that I'll be
good segue
releasing this week. Yeah, excellent segue, huh?
Maybe you should make an Easter comic.
Maybe. I don't know what I would do it on or what characters it would be featuring.
You could use the kids version, like the Peanuts version of your characters.
Well, the Calvin and Hobbes version is what I like to think of them as, but yeah.
Whatever, however you want to think.
They'd actually be perfect for pretty much any holiday type story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
It is. I don't have enough time to pull that off this year.
You can't do that in a week?
No, I don't want to put that kind of pressure on Patrick. That would not be nice.
Yeah, all right.
But Patrick is who did this particular pinup. That features Lame Mime as an Easter bunny. Bethany Muerte in front of him wearing Easter bunny ears, but not costumes. He's a big, huge, fat Easter bunny. Like, the suit is super round and big.
Does it have like a cutout for his face?
Yes. Yeah. It's more Easter-themed colors, but still has like his striped pattern on the outfit. Like you come to expect with the shirts he's always wearing, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never done an Easter-themed holiday pinup for El Bovine Muerte before, so I'm quite excited to be releasing this one. I really like it when I'm able to do holidays I haven't done before.
Just like these random holidays that everyone thinks of. Well, I mean, people think of Easter, but like all the smaller stuff.
Yeah, like when we did Yule, for instance. Yeah.
There's always a day for something.
I'd love to do something for like Beltane. And
you know what would have been good was Pie Day.
I know. I didn't think about it until like the
Stephen
day
Hawking.
that it comes on. I know. It's so sad.
Yeah, terrible news.
Yeah, it is. But with that depressing note, there's always Pie Day next year.
We can move on to happier times.
Kickstarter's
happier times.
We'll be doing 2 El Bovine Muerte updates this week.
2?
Mm-hmm. There's going to be the normal page for mission number 4. It's going to be page number 6. So that's moving along at a very nice pace. You know, I haven't missed a week and won't miss a week because the whole thing's done. It just needs to be posted. So the whole entire issue. That's a very nice thing to be able to say. And then I also have the Easter pinup. And I actually have a cover pinup that I have to work into an update somewhere. But I'm kind of waiting to see when it looks like issue number 5 will be fully complete, because if I need to buy myself a week, it might come in handy having this cover to kind of retroactively put in, you know?
Smart.
Yeah. I've actually done that in the past. I think the only cover that was released prior to the issue coming out was the cover for number 3. I think Paul did that one first, but the others were just like, let's just move on the pages as fast as we can. Go ahead, move us to Kickstarter, like you were trying to do. Segue.
Kick us to Kickstarter?
Kick us to Kickstarter, sure. Why not?
Kick you to Kickstarter. Or just kick you.
You could.
Where you at with it? How's your incentives coming
Okay,
on?
so...
Fulfillment. Is that what I was saying?
Fulfillment. Incentives, fulfillment, either way,
Same
go
thing.
fine. So, I was hoping to get the digital pack that had all the various Darkslinger PDFs in it sent out at the same time as Ghost Assassin number 1 PDF. But I wasn't able to do that because when I went to upload the PDF for Chronicles number 2, I found out that some of the files had become damaged somehow. So I needed to redo the lettering for it anyway. And if I'm taking them back to print, then I really needed to redo the lettering, because Chronicles of Von Helsing number 2 and 3 were the first books I ever lettered, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Pretty amateur work.
Pretty amateur work. So I went back and completely re-lettered number 2 and 3, and that's what I've been doing over the past couple days. Got it all finished and uploaded last night, and I sent the PDF packs out this morning and last night.
I saw. I got an email today about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I had posted the Ghost Assassin number 1 PDF as an update that only backers could see, but anybody who filled out their email address, because I put the thing in there about, like, you know, what's your email address, only fill this out if you want a PDF sent to your email. So anyone who filled out their email on that, I sent the PDF out to them as well. So I did all that today and went through and just kind of made sure I had all the information. I still need 16 surveys back in order to fulfill 16 people's pledges. I think 5 of those I don't actually need back because they're just PDF backers, and they very well could have got their PDFs through the update. And if they didn't, you know, if they contact me at any point, I can just send it to them at that point. It's not like the PDF's going to expire. Or if they look at the update in the future, you know, they'll see the link for the PDF. So they have that. But 5 of them are print or t-shirt backers. And so I do need information for the t-shirts, and I do need to know which of the metal prints they want. Luckily, I know all 5 of those people. So
you can nicely nudge them about
yes.
it.
So I have put in some phone calls and text messages, and I'm getting the same sort of responses though. Well, what size can I order? Well, I put in there up to XXL, so just tell me what size you want. Or maybe it's XXL, and I'll order it. What image can I get? Well, any image you want, as long as it wasn't a Kickstarter exclusive. So, you know. But, you know, not surprisingly, one of those backers is Kate. So
you would think these would be easy answers for
her. Right. She's only been involved as a backer in, I think, okay, no, not the first 2 Kickstarters I did, but she was one of my backers in all of them since then. And she's had how many conversations with me about it, so I would have thought she would have known. But in any case, I'm still waiting to hear from her. She told me what size she wants, but she's apparently in Canada right now. So I'm still waiting to hear which image she wants. But her and then a couple other people. But like I said, I know them. So if I need to just make a phone call, say, hey, you know, gotta have this info. Can you get it to me? They will, you know. And I don't need them to actually fill out the backer survey, because there are people I know, if they just tell me over the phone what they want, what size of shirt they want, that's good enough.
So it's all nearly lined up to get everything.
Yeah. After fulfilling all the digital tiers, there are 49 backers with physical products. So being able to fulfill the digital tiers actually took care of quite a bit of fulfillment right there. And so 49 left with physical goods. I already have the cardboard cut for when the comics come in. I have the bags and the boards. I have the bubble wrap. I need to order some envelopes. That is something I still need to do.
Are you sending it out as you get it, or are you looking to send it out in a group of stuff?
I send my stuff out as groups. So the reality is most of the incentives will probably come in around the same time. The printed edition of Ghost Assassin #1 might potentially take longer to receive than the other incentives because it's the thing I'm printing, the most copies of and all that.
Yeah, it takes a while to print a lot of copies.
It takes a while, but in any case, we're well on track to deliver on time, if not even potentially ahead of time. And, I hope that we can do it ahead of time. But I have all the packages kind of pre-made as much as possible. I got to order a few supplies to finish it off. I used up a few more envelopes than what I thought I would with eBay over the last couple weeks. But getting new envelopes is nothing, That's easy.
Yeah, it's a drive to the store.
I ordered mine.
Oh. It's a walk to the computer.
Right. Or just pick up my phone.
It's a walk to the phone.
Yeah. If I put it on the charger.
You gotta walk, man.
All right, I'll walk. So, in any case, everything's on track. It's looking good. Now it's just basically, I'm at the point right now where I just need to make sure that I have everything lined up to do the fulfillment, like the tape, the envelopes. Like I said, I already have all the cardboard cut, so that's easy. I already have all the bags and boards pre-made, ready to go. All I got to do is just slide the comics in there. The one thing I did forget to include in the survey, though, is who wants their comic signed. And I noticed on one of the surveys that one of my backers had requested the comics to be signed. I totally forgot about that. I don't want to just assume that people want me to sign their comics. So I'm going to be posting an update closer to when the comics are scheduled to arrive. Just asking if people will either comment on the update or send me a message just stating whether or not they want their comic signed. And as long as I can get those messages back to me in time, I'll sign whoever wants me to sign them.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, depending on who wrote or drew whatever I buy, I might not want everything that I have signed.
Yeah, I don't want everything that I want signed. Honestly, the only stuff I want signed is the stuff that actually has, like, sentimental something or other attached.
Or you really like this person and you're like, badass.
Well, that would create something sentimental for me.
I suppose, yeah.
But, I've mentioned this before, but I always find it weird when some of my creator friends use their autograph as a selling point. It's like, we've been at shows together, and they will be trying to pitch the person on their product, and instead of inviting them to open it and take a look through or continue their sales pitch, what their sales pitch all of a sudden becomes is, if you buy it, I'll sign it for you. And it's like, okay, a random guy who bought a table at a Comic-Con and, printed up some copies of his book. Sure, your autograph means that much,
Yeah.
So, like, I never want to assume that anybody wants my autograph, but on El Bovine Muerte, #1, when I did the Kickstarter for that, which, didn't have nearly as many backers as Ghost Assassin #1, because it was a 7-day event, and I had one incentive level on it, but, when I did that, I think, one person didn't want theirs signed and everyone else did. So, there's a pretty high number of people who back things on Kickstarter that want it signed.
You signed mine.
Yeah.
I think you signed it, fuck off.
That's probably what I would put on yours.
It was either mine or Alex's. I can't remember which.
It definitely seems like I would put fuck off on Alex's. Disappoints me that he got a digital edition for this Kickstarter because I can't write fuck off on his.
You can't, lay that over it for one of them?
Possibly. Or maybe I can just draw up on a piece of paper, like me drawing a cover for Ghost Assassin, so it'd be stick figures. And then write fuck off on it and give it to Alex.
That would work.
Yeah, I think so.
go to a printer and print it off, and like staple the corner together.
Just so I can fuck off.
And mail it to him.
I know. If people could see what I write on your guys' holiday cards every year when I'm handing them out to my personal friends.
Then they might not want their thing signed anymore.
They may not. They might be afraid that I'm going to do something like that.
How's Principalities coming along?
Well, I have a number of covers done for it, and I've got an outline for about 20 issues. I have script for, totally happy with scripts, about 3, and then I have another one that I'm not quite happy with, but I might need to do some rearranging. The thing about doing a book with a cast that big is that sometimes you'll write something and then you'll decide that it needs to actually come before, story-wise, but I have enough of an idea of what each issue is going to contain that I've been able to do covers for far more issues. But I actually have Melissa working on something right now that's not Principalities.
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So did you already have a Principalities thing out before?
I did.
I
did.
Yeah.
So
is it just like a revamp of the art, or is it a revamp of the whole damn story?
Revamp of the whole damn story.
Oh, okay.
So basically, when I first did Principalities, it was a really weird one because I had been working on Principalities longer than the Pauper, Chronicles Von Helsing, Ghost Assassin, any of those. It was actually the first story I ever did that featured characters created by me. But it was a really hard one to do, to make work right. And I think part of that is because of how gigantic the cast is. It's quite an undertaking to make a story cohesive that has that many characters. Mm-hmm. So I started writing the script for it and kept kind of Xing it out. And then I wrote like these 12 pages that I was really, really happy with. And for some reason, I just went on to a different story, like started writing Ghost Assassin or Chronicles Von Helsing or any of those, right? And then I came back to it, and I thought it had only been like a month since I last wrote anything for the first issue. And I started writing it, and then I looked at the date up at the top and found out that it was exactly 1 year to the day that I wrote the second half of it.
A little bit more than a month.
Yeah, but the odd thing is all the cohesion was there for it. It wasn't like a story that I had worked on a year apart. But I would say it was the best I could do at that time. It's not the best I could do now. So I wrote out the first 3 issues, and all the characterization is there, all that. But, I found an artist, did all that. But part of the problem is I grew up reading all these X-Men comics. And in a lot of ways, I intended this to be a religious fiction story with a team of angels, and there are certain superhero elements to that, but I didn't intend for it to be a superhero story. And what I had found that I had created was a superhero story with religious elements instead of the other way around. So I pitched that to Diamond at the same time the Who Will Save the World Kickstarter was going. So it was at like 2012, I think. And they had bounced it, which the reason they'd bounced it was really silly because they said that the inking wasn't up to industry standards. And it's like, of all the things you could have chosen, you chose the inking. I didn't even know that would be one of their check boxes. But
it almost seems like they were trying to say no in a nice way.
Well, I kind of view Diamond's outlook, maybe the job they give the submissions editor. I don't really think they're looking for reasons to carry your product. I think they're looking for reasons not to. Every previous catalog that comes out is the size of a phone book. So a lot of the indies don't really make them that much money.
Yeah, I bet.
So they have a pretty strict guideline for what something needs to sell in order for them to carry. It has to be like $2,500 wholesale, something like that. And if you don't meet that, then you don't get carried by Diamond, right? So they don't have faith in it. That's fine. So I had printed up the convention edition of number 1, and that's all I actually printed up. I never printed up the actual full-colored editions of that story, which I do have full-colored editions of number 1 and 2. But after I had sat with it for a while, I went back to it and started rewriting the story, and I started writing all this stuff that came before those issues. And as I did, I discovered that issue number 1 and 2 need to change in a lot of ways. And as I started changing them, it took on more life of its own. One of the characters that I didn't view as a primary character originally kind of became one of the primary characters. And I discovered that what I need to do is just scrap what I'd already done and go back to this, But I'm probably going to release the 2 issues that have been fully done and colored and all that is some sort of exclusive number 0 edition. Whether it's like something that I have packaged in with something, or I put in the trade paperback at the very end and, state what it was, or in the hardcover edition is like an extra, It'll see the light of day somehow. I still think the pages and the story that was written there has enough merit to be seen in some fashion, but not in continuity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you want it out there, like this is what it came from, sort of
thing. Yeah. That kind of thing. And so probably chances are, better than not, what I'll do with it is put it in the hardcover edition. So, but I want to use a different art style for it. And Melissa Spandry, I believe that's how you say her last name. Apologies if it's not. She's been doing the covers for it. They're fantastic.
Yes, they are.
But they're not what I have her working on at the moment.
What is this other thing then?
So, I've always believed, and you know this, in diversifying the type of conventions I do. Yeah. And I'm really hoping to set up at this rat rod, mini truck, rat bike type of event this summer.
Interesting choice.
It is, and it's not okay. You haven't met Floyd yet, right?
No.
So Floyd sits up there every year, and he said that he thinks that I just clean up there, right? And if you look at the photos of the event, it's kind of like the people who go there, they're like new age greasers. My stuff works better for a location like that than it does at a lot of Comic Cons. One of the most frequent things I hear when I go to Comic Cons is, you don't look like you're a comic creator. But when I've done things at like tattoo conventions, at horror cons, I never get comments like that. So I think an event like this, where this is the focus, but they have other vendors who are doing other things, I think I might actually do well there. But one of the things I started thinking is, if I do a convention like this, I want to up the amount of merchandise I have that's not directly comics. So I have the second Chronicles Von Helsing glass all designed, ready to go to the printer. I just need an extra like $472 to send it in. So, and I also need to reprint the first glass because damn near sold out on that one after the library event we did in Hillsborough.
Yeah, they went well.
Yeah, they went really well. So hopefully after April I'll be completely sold out of the first Chronicles glass. But in any case, those have sold really well. I need to get a second one in print, and I thought that would make a nice little additional item. But I wanted something that would go on a t-shirt or a print, something new. And I wanted it to be something that was made for that, not something that was made for a comic and then I put into a t-shirt or a poster. So I talked to Melissa and I asked her if I'm probably going to say this name wrong, but Gil Elfgren, do you know who that is?
No idea.
Okay, he did a ton of pinup work back in like the 50s, and he did, have you ever seen like the old Coca-Cola pinups? When it was actually done in more of like a pinup style?
Maybe.
Okay, he did what would be considered good girl pinups. So it was like, there was nudity, there were things like that in his pinups, but it was all very good girl style. We're not talking like bondage and things like that. He's, I believe, one of the pioneers in that style, right? And I've always loved his artwork, and I asked her if she could do any style that was like that, because up until this point we've only worked in kind of a fantasy style. The only thing outside of Principalities that she had done was the Chronicles Von Helsing Lucy cover, which I believe that I showed you.
Yes.
And so I had asked her, and she was ecstatic about the idea of working in this style because apparently this is her first love. Fantasy is her second. So she was ecstatic to have me even ask that.
And has experience in it.
Right. And wanted to work on one like right away, right? So we're taking a brief intermission from doing the Principalities covers. You know, we have a pretty solid lead up on those at the moment, especially since the interior art hasn't even begun yet. And we're working on these sort of Gil Elgrin style, but still very much Melissa style pinups of 4 of the main female characters from Ghost Assassin. And I think doing them in this kind of 50, or not Ghost Assassin, from the Darkslinger universe. And I think doing them in this sort of pinup type style will go over well at shows like this. So this is just one of the shows I'm thinking about doing this year that's in that style. I think, honestly, these go over really well at horror cons or anything like that. But, you know, I want to diversify the type of cons I'm at again. I don't want to be beholden strictly to Comic Cons.
It's an interesting idea. I think it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. These kinds of things sound like these people would like that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They like pinups.
Right.
That's their kind of style.
Yeah.
Or something maybe a bit crazy, morbid in the way of the glasses.
Right.
Some kind of out there looking.
I can hit both markets in that way in a lot of ways. And it's something that I'm personally interested in. I mean, I have a pinup of Melissa on my arm.
Yeah.
Melissa from Ghost Assassin.
So, not the artist.
No. I don't have tattoos of my artist. So, in any case, Melissa from Ghost Assassin is the first one that Melissa Spandry is working on.
How many did you say you have her doing?
4.
4.
I'm going to have her do 4 in total. It's going to be a series of 4, and I'm going to kind of see how those go. I think 4 is enough to kind of test the market.
Do you want to put a mold? Do you want to do like a poster or t-shirts or like one or the other?
It depends. I think I might do a test run of t-shirts and see how the images transfer over to that before I decide to do a full-on run. It's pretty cheap to digitally print up one to find out how it'll turn out. It's more expensive when you do a full-on run.
Yeah.
For sure on posters, I'm kind of experimenting, playing around with various ways that I can do posters, though. Because quite frankly, I'm kind of tired of just doing the standard gloss image, which is why I did a metal print for the Ghost Assassin Kickstarter. And it's why I'm going to start playing around with doing wood prints and canvas prints and things like that. I like the whole notion that in today's new age of printing, you can print on so many different things. So I'm playing around with that and not just doing simply like gloss prints. In any case, my main idea at first was that these would be t-shirts.
I think for this sort of crowd you're going for, t-shirts would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Posters to some degree, both paper and metal, I think would work for them.
It depends, because these will have a slightly older sort of style to them, and so metal may not work that well, but it might work out really well if I have a short run of canvases done. So you can get the print canvases these days where it's, you know, digitally printed, but it's a canvas.
Yeah.
And I think that might actually look really good.
And those aren't terribly expensive either. To get it, to see what they'll look like.
No, they're not, especially since I already have deals worked out with manufacturers who do them.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I'm going to be playing around with that kind of stuff.
Very cool. I think that'll be an interesting idea.
And I have a printer that can print on wood. They can print on plexiglass. Basically, if it's a flat object and it can be printed on, they print on it. They did a convention where they wanted to take unusual products to use as promotional items. So they bought a bunch of spatulas from the Dollar Tree. And then they bought some crowbars. And they printed on the crowbars and on the spatulas and took them and gave them away.
That's weird, but that's a neat idea.
Yeah. Well, the con they were at was a hacker convention. I've never been to a hacker convention, so crowbars might make more sense there. I'm not sure.
I don't know, someone comes busting down your door because you hacked into something and smashed your computer.
Maybe, I don't know.
Other than that, I don't, you flip your Hot Pocket with the spatula?
Something. I don't know. But in any case, when they showed them to me, I thought it was pretty cool. And, it just gives you a good idea for what printers can do these days.
Yeah. So you want to go to this place? You're near for sure thinking about going here?
It really depends on how much money I come up with in the next couple months. Because
when is this?
This is this summer.
Oh, okay.
Because, conventions are great, and I want to do as absolute many as possible this year. But at the same time, I have to invest my money wisely. And investing my money wisely might mean putting more money into production runs, into art, into things like that, than going to a ton of conventions. You know what I mean?
Maybe go low-key conventions.
Yes.
To up your product output.
Right. Exactly. So, I'm trying to choose only the cons that I think I will have return on investment at, It's an unfortunate thing where I definitely did not make a return on investment at the I Like Comic-Con. But the conventions I've done since then, I have. And that's what I want to continue to do, And last year, the conventions we did in 2017, I did a 4 times multiple on the money that I put into it.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, considering that 2 of the conventions I did, I actually lost money on. When you take all the conventions throughout the whole year, and it ends up that I did 4 times, all costs associated.
That's good ROI.
Yeah, it is. It's actually really proper ROI. So, I want to continue to choose conventions as smartly as I've done in the past, and not just throw money at any convention that comes my way.
Even if one of these small things isn't a hit and that drops for that show, getting the products out there as long as you're still selling stuff at the show.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying.
It puts it into a different community.
It's like with I Like Comic-Con, I did that one strictly as Darkslinger, and I sold 4 things all weekend. So I totally agree with you. Like, if I go to Sasquatch, for instance, I'll be taking my long boxes down there. I won't be just there as Darkslinger. And I'll shave off a small piece of the table for Darkslinger, right? But if previous Sasquatches are any indicator, I'll sell at least 8 to 9 Darkslinger products along with the money that I make off the long boxes. So obviously now I'm getting the word out and making some money and making sure that I make some money, So, yeah, it's just, I got to be smart like that. There's another Sasquatch coming up in May, and I'm hoping to do that.
And that's Eugene, right?
That is Eugene.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I view it as Eugene's version of Frankenstein.
So, is that the style of the show?
That is the style of the show. Frankenstein has a little bit more independent stuff being sold on it. Where I think Sasquatch, you're more likely to run into to more mainstream stuff. There is independent stuff that people are selling as well. But a lot of what you find there is like your Marvel, your DC, your Image, your Dark Horse, that kind of stuff, And then Frankenstein does the music, where Sasquatch does not. But I would say all in all, the feel of the show is very similar. And the prices people are putting on things are very similar. Frankenstein, you can walk up to a table and actually find long boxes that are all 25 cents a piece. You can do the same thing as Sasquatch.
Oh, nice.
So
affordable.
Yeah, very affordable. So the first Sasquatch I did last year, I did twice my investment into it. That's table and gas and food costs. So I thought about returning, but I wasn't completely sure. And then I did the one that happened, I believe, in November, and it ended up being my most profitable show of the year. So, I definitely want to check it out. And there's a lot of good stuff you can find for super cheap,
Don't forget to bring the balloons for the show.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs his balloons for the show.
Right. It's a nice throwback. So, yeah, in any case, that's what I'm hoping to do. I want to do the next Frankenstein that'll be in June. I would like to do the next Fantasticon. That is a Don Roman show that happens in Tacoma, Washington. there's a lot of little shows that are dealer shows that I'm still planning on doing. But at the end of 2017, I had stated when we did our wrap-up show that we needed to do more conventions as Darkslinger. I think so far going into 2018, I have been accomplishing that, and I'd like to keep accomplishing that. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with doing a dealer show here or there.
Yeah.
And if I do this show, this is the car show, I am willing to take a box of old Easy Riders.
That's smart.
I'm not planning on taking all the long boxes, all that stuff, but I do have a box somewhere around here of old Easy Riders and old like horse magazines and things like that. And I'm more than willing to take those and flip those. Maybe take a gas tank or a fender, something like that.
Yeah, you got a couple of those things sitting around.
Oh, I always have bike parts sitting around. So take a couple of those, put them underneath the table. Why not?
Yeah. That'd be a fun show.
Yeah, I think so too.
All sorts of cars to look at while you wait.
Right? Yeah. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. So, and it's my style,
Yeah.
Like, I've been to so many car shows throughout my life. My dad took me to them my whole life, and so I never feel out of place going to things like that. So, I like going to things that feel like they're in my element. Honestly, a lot of the big comic cons don't feel that way to me at times.
Seems like a place that you'd run into your dad.
Yeah, it does. It does. It also seems like a place that I maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, might be able to talk Tony into hanging out with us for a while at.
Oh, yeah, because he's into that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Tony's big time into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, But I think, like, if there's a show coming up that you might be able to move your product at that you feel in your element, you should definitely do it,
It's easier to sell your stuff when you're comfortable.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong, I love the big Comic Cons. But sometimes I just feel like they don't love me as much. So I'll be in the sea of people selling My Little Pony prints, and then they'll walk up to the Darkslinger table. Oh, this is so gory. Oh, this is gross. Thanks.
Yeah, well, fuck you and your horse.
Right. There's My Little Ponies next door.
That would be funny to be butted up against that.
I have been many times in Emerald City. The year that the My Little Pony show came on, that has something to do with the Powerpuff Girls, like the producer from Powerpuff Girls was on it, or the director or the creator or something like that. I know it has some sort of relevance with Powerpuff Girl fans. Anyway, the year that came out, we went to ECC, and there were people cosplaying with something to do with My Little Pony everywhere. And I did not know the term brony until that weekend. And there were just so many people selling prints of My Little Pony stuff. And, like, the comic dealers had collections of My Little Pony they were flipping, right? And so it's like this sea of My Little Pony. And all these guys that I knew, friends of mine, kept telling me I had to check the show out. They're like, it's so great. I still haven't. But
the My Little Pony show?
The My Little Pony show.
Oh, God.
They're like, you gotta check it out. It's so funny. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Still haven't.
Yeah, you should table there.
But, I'm like stuck in the middle of like 5 tables in Artist Alley that year that were nothing but like My Little Pony prints. Well, okay, I think one lady was selling Rainbow Pride prints as well. But, for the most part, it's all My Little Pony. And then, like, I'm in the middle looking like the Lord of Darkness.
Good contrast.
Right? And I don't know what to do with that.
It's all rainbows and
right?
horses
What
until
you
it
would
gets
have
to you, and then it's like a black cloud.
Would have made the horror enthusiasts zero in on me a lot better, but for some reason it didn't. Because I think they just gave up and left.
Probably.
Which would be, or could definitely be the case, because that was the same year that you did CryptCon with me for the first year. And you remember how many people came up to us that year stating that they could not find horror comics at Emerald City Comic Con? And it was so refreshing being there because they could just walk up to our table and find them. Yeah.
They just couldn't see you in the sea of horses.
They could not see me in the sea of My Little Pony. So, which I've seen some badass stuff with My Little Pony, but okay, let me rephrase that, and I'll explain why I state that. So, have you ever been to Sequential Art Gallery?
To a Sequential Art Gallery?
No, to the Sequential Art Gallery in Portland.
No.
Okay. So, Sequential Art Gallery does group shows occasionally. And one year at Christmas time, they did a group show that was artists doing renditions of My Little Pony stuff, right? So, Tony was in the show.
I remember this. Yeah, he did something.
He did. So Tony, a lot of them had taken My Little Ponies and altered the figures to make them into something new. Like this one guy had taken 4 of the miniature ponies and made them into the ponies of the apocalypse. And they were all like death, war, pestilence, famine. Tony had taken and actually sculpted something that was brand new. That's like this metal. I think at least it was a metal heavy piece. It looked like it. I never picked it up, but it's like this hell spawned Satan horse with these twisted horns coming out of its head, and it was just so awesome looking. And so at that show, there was a lot of stuff that's like, okay, this is not the My Little Pony you're going to find on TV, but it was awesome stuff inspired in some way by...
And that's how you became a brony.
Not quite. That's how Dan did.
Dan, that's Ron, right?
Yeah, that's Ron. So, I think with the My Little Pony story, though, we're about to end for this week.
It's a logical place to conclude.
It's a logical place to conclude. So, that's it for this week's Darkslinger Mafia podcast. You can find us on Facebook. We have fan pages for Darkslinger Comics, Ghost Assassin, and El Bovine Muerte. On Twitter, under Darkslinger Comics. Tumblr, Darkslinger Comics, and El Bovine Muerte. Instagram, under Darkslinger Comics. YouTube, Darkslinger0com. Google Plus, I believe Darkslinger Comics as well. If not Darkslinger Comics, just try Darkslinger. I'm Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
Thank you for listening.